Laquila dos Santos here, and I am back reading the Newer Testament, Hear What They Heard, Reader's Edition by Brad H. Young. Yes, I know it's backwards, but the Newer Testament. And I believe we are at chapter 7 of the book of Matthew. Do not judge others so that God will not pronounce judgment against you. Because in the way you pass judgment on others, you will be judged. Because with the measure you give, God will give back to you. Why do you see the speck in your friend's eye, but fail to see the log in your own eye? How can you say to your friend, "Let me take the speck out of your eye," when at the same time there is a log in your own eye? You pretender. First, take the log out of your own eye, then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your friend's eye. You must never give what is consecrated as holy to dogs. You must never throw your pearls before swine, otherwise they will trample them under their feet, turn on you, and tear you to pieces. Ask, and God will give to you. Seek, and God will cause you to find. Knock, and God will open doors for you. Everyone who asks receives. The one who seeks finds. The one who knocks will have God open doors. What man is there among you who, when his son asks for bread, will instead give him a stone? If he asks for some fish, will he instead give him a snake? Well then, if you, wicked as you are, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give what is good to those who ask him? In every situation, then, treat others the way that you want them to treat you, for this is the summary of the Torah and the prophets. Follow the path through the narrow gate, because the gate is wide open and the path is easy going that leads to absolute ruin. Many people follow this path through it, but the hard to travel path that leads to life goes through the narrow gate. There are but few people who find it. Guard against the false prophets who come to you disguised in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will recognize them by their fruits. Are grapes picked from briars? Are figs harvested from thorn bushes? So every good tree produces good fruit. The bad tree, however, produces bad fruit. A good tree cannot produce bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot produce good fruit. Every tree that does not produce good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. So then you will recognize them by their fruits. Not everyone who says to me, "Lord, Lord," will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the individual who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, "Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? Did we not force out demons in your name? Moreover, did we not work many miracles in your name?" But then I will declare to them, "I never knew you. Go away from me, you practice lawlessness." So then everyone who hears these words of mine and obeys them is like a wise individual who built his house upon the rock. Then the rain fell, the flood waters rose, the winds blew and slammed against that house. Even so, it did not collapse because it had been established upon the rock. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does not obey them is like a foolish individual who built his house upon the sand. When the rain fell, the floodwaters rose, the winds blew and slammed against that house. It collapsed. Great was its ruin. When Yeshua had finished these words, the crowds of people were greatly impressed with his teaching. He was teaching them as someone possessing authority and not like the scribes. That was chapter 7, 1 through 29. Chapter 8. When Yeshua came down from the mountain, large crowds of people followed him. A leper came to him, bowed before him, and said, "Lord, if you will, you can make me clean." Yeshua stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, "I will. Be made clean." Immediately his leprosy was cleansed. Then Yeshua charged him, "See that you tell no one, but rather go show yourself to the priest and make an offering as Moshe commanded as a witness to them." When Yeshua entered Capharnaum, a Roman centurion came to him, imploring him and saying, "Lord, my slave is lying crippled at home, terribly suffering." Yeshua said to him, "I will come and heal him." But the Roman centurion said, "Lord, I do not deserve to have you come under my roof, but just speak the word, and my slave will be healed. For I myself am a man also submitted under authority, with soldiers under me. To this one I say, 'Go,' and he goes. To another I say, 'Come,' and he comes. I may say to my slave, 'Do this,' and he does it." Now when Yeshua heard this, he marveled and said to those who were following, "In truth, I tell you, nowhere, not even in Israel, have I found such great faith. I tell you that many will come from east and west and recline at the table together with Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov in the kingdom of heaven, while the children of the kingdom will be escorted out into the outer darkness." At that, Yeshua said to the Roman centurion, "Go, just as you have believed, it will be done for you." At that very hour, his slave was healed. When Yeshua came into Kepha's home, he found Kepha's mother-in-law lying down sick in bed with a fever. He touched her hand, and the fever left her. She rose up and served him. When evening came, they brought to him many who were troubled by demons. He forced out the spirits with a word and healed all who were sick. This came to fulfill what was spoken through Yeshayahu the prophet. He took our infirmities on himself and carried away our diseases. Isaiah 53:4. Now, when Yeshua saw a crowd of people around him, he gave directions to cross over to the other side of the lake. Then a scribe came up to him and said, "Rabbi, I will follow you wherever you lead." Yeshua said to him, "Foxes have holes, the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay down his head." Another of the disciples said to him, "Lord, first let me go and bury my father." But Yeshua said to him, "Follow me, and let the dead bury their own dead." When he climbed on board the boat, his disciples followed after him. Suddenly, a powerful storm blew in over the lake so that the boat was being covered with the waves, but Yeshua himself was fast asleep. They came over to him and woke him up, saying, "Save us, Lord, we're going to die." He answered them, "Why are you afraid, you people of little faith?" Then he got up and rebuke the winds and the lake. Then it became perfectly calm. The men were amazed and exclaimed, "What kind of man is this that even the winds and the lake obey him?" When he came to the other side into the region of the Gergashim, 2 men who were troubled by demons met him as they were coming out of the tombs. They were so extremely violent that no one could pass by that way. They yelled out, saying, "What business do you have with us, Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the appointed time?" Now, some distance away from them, there was a herd of many pigs feeding. The demons started to beg, saying, "Since you are going to force us out, send us into the herd of pigs." Then he commanded them, "Go." After they had been forced out, they entered into the pigs. So then the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and died in the water. The pig herders ran away. They went to the city and reported everything, including what had happened to the men troubled by demons. At once the whole town went out to meet Yeshua. When they saw him, they asked him to move away from their region. Dang. That was chapter 8, verse 1 through 34. Chapter 9. Climbing on board a boat, he crossed over and came to his own town. Take notice of this. Just then they carried a crippled man lying on a stretcher to him. Seeing their chutzpah-style faith, Yeshua said to that crippled man, "Take courage, child. Your sins are forgiven." But at this, some of the scribes said to themselves, "This fellow blasphemes." Yeshua, knowing their thoughts, responded, "Why are you thinking evil in your hearts? What is easier to say, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Stand up and walk'? However, so that you may know that the Son of Man possesses the authority upon earth to forgive sins." He then said to the crippled man, "Stand up, pick up your stretcher, and go to your house." So he stood up and went to his house. But when the crowds saw what happened, they were overcome with awe and glorified God who had given such authority to people. As Yeshua went on from there, he saw a man called Matityahu sitting at the tax office. He said to him, "Follow me." He arose and followed him. Then it happened that as Yeshua was reclining at the dinner table in the house, look, a large company of tax collectors and sinners came and were dining with Yeshua and his disciples. When the spiritual leaders saw what was happening, they complained to his disciples, "Why is your Rebbe eating with the tax collectors and sinners?" But when Yeshua heard the complaint, he said, "It is not those who are healthy who need a doctor, but those who are sick. But go and learn what this means. I desire compassion and not sacrifice." Hosea 6:6. Because I have not come to call the righteous, but rather the sinners. Then the disciples of Yochanan came up to him asking, "Why do we and the spiritual leaders fast, but your disciples do not fast?" So Yeshua answered them, Can the guests of the bridegroom mourn so long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days are coming when the bridegroom will be taken away from them. Then they will fast. So no one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, because the patch tears away from the garment and a worse tear is made. People do not pour new wine into old wineskins, because if they do, the wineskins will burst. The wine will be spilled out and the wineskins will be ruined. They pour new wine into fresh wineskins so that both will be preserved. While he was saying these things to them, a Jewish leader came, bowed to the ground before him, and said, "My daughter has just now met her end. Nonetheless, come and lay your hand on her, and then she will live." Yeshua rose up and started to follow him along with his disciples. Just then, a woman who had been suffering from a flow of blood for 12 years came up behind him and touched the prayer shawl fringe of his garment. For she said to herself, "If I only touch the fringe of his garment, I will be healed." But Yeshua, turning and seeing her, said, "Daughter, take courage. Your chutzpah-style faith has healed you." Immediately, the woman was made well. When Yeshua came into the Jewish leader's house and saw the flute players and the crowd of mourners and noisy confusion, he said, "Go away. After all, the girl has not died, but is asleep." They started laughing at him. But after the crowd had been sent away, he went in, took her by the hand, and the girl rose up. The report of her miracle spread throughout all that region. As Yeshua traveled on from there, 2 blind men followed him, crying out and saying, "Son of David, have mercy on us." After he entered the house, the blind men came up to him, and Yeshua asked them, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" They answered him, "Yes, Lord." Then he touched their eyes, saying, "Let it be done to you according to your faith." Then their eyes were opened. But Yeshua sternly cautioned them, "See to it that no one finds out about this." But they went out and they spread the report about him throughout all that region. Just as they were going out, a man who did not have the ability to speak, being troubled by a demon, was brought to him. After the demon was forced out, the man was able to talk, and the crowds were amazed, exclaiming, "Nothing like this has ever been seen in Israel." But the spiritual leaders were saying, "He forces out the demons by the help of the ruler of all the demons." Yeshua was traveling through all the towns and villages, teaching in their Jewish learning centers, proclaiming the good news message of the kingdom, and healing every kind of disease and every kind of sickness. Seeing the people, he was moved with compassion for them, because they were distressed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. Then he exclaimed to his disciples, "The harvest is certainly plentiful, but the workers are few. So you must earnestly pray to the Lord of the harvest to send out more workers into his harvest." That was chapter 9, verses 1 through 38. Chapter 10. Yeshua called his 12 disciples together and gave them authority over unclean spirits to force them out and also to heal every kind of disease and every kind of sickness. Now, these are the names of the 12 emissaries. First, Shimon, who is also called Kepha, and then his brother Andrew, and Yaakov, the son of Zabdi, and his brother Yochanan, Philip and Bartholomew, Toma and Matityahu, the tax collector, Yaakov, the son of Chalphi, and Taddai, Shimon the zealot, and Yehuda, man of Kariat, the one who betrayed him. Oh, Judas. Yeshua sent out these 12 after giving them these instructions. Do not travel by the roads for the heathens. Do not enter into any town belonging to the Samaritans, but rather you are sent with the purpose of going to the lost sheep from the house of Israel. As you go, make proclamation teaching, the kingdom of heaven has come. Heal those who are sick, raise the dead, cleanse the people suffering with leprosy, and force out demons. Freely you received, so freely you must give. Do not store away gold or silver or copper in your money belts. Do not carry along a traveling bag for your journey, or 2 shirts or sandals or a walking stick. After all, the worker is worthy of his pay. Moreover, whatever town or village you enter, find out who is worthy in it and stay there until you leave. As you enter the household, give the family your greeting. If the family is worthy, give the household your blessing for shalom. But if it is not worthy, receive back your shalom. Whoever does not welcome you or even listen to your message, when you leave that house or that town, wipe off the dust from your feet. I solemnly tell you, it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town. Look, I am sending you like sheep among wolves, so be shrewd as snakes and blameless as doves. But be extremely cautious of people, because they will hand you over to the courts and scourge you in their meeting places. You will even be brought before governors and kings on my behalf as a testimony for them and for the heathens. When they betray you, do not be stressed out over what you're going to say, because it will be given you in that very moment exactly what you are to say. After all, it is not you who speak, but rather the Spirit of your Father who speaks from within you. Brother will betray brother unto death, and even a father his own child. Children will rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. You will be hated by all because of my name, but it is the one who has endured to the end who will be saved. But whenever they persecute you in one town, escape to the next. Of a certainty, I tell you, you will not finish going through the towns of Israel until the Son of Man comes. A disciple is not greater than his teacher. Neither is a slave above his master. It is good enough for the learner that he would become like his teacher and the slave like his master. If they have called the leader of the household Baal-Zebul, how much more evil will they speak against the members of his household? So then, do not be afraid of them, because there is nothing unknown that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be made known. What I tell you in the darkness, speak out in the light. What you hear whispered in your ear, proclaim upon the housetops. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body but are unable to kill the soul. Rather, fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Even so, not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father's permission. But even the very hairs of your head have been counted by God. So never be afraid. You yourselves are of inestimable value, exceeding beyond all the sparrows. Indeed, everyone who owns me before others, I will also claim that one before my Father who is in heaven. But whoever disowns me before others, I will disown that one before my Father who is in heaven. Do not think that I came to bring shalom upon the earth. I have not come to bring shalom, but a sword. For I came to turn a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A person's enemies will be the members of his family. Micah 7 verse 6. The one who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Moreover, the one who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. So, whoever does not take up his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. The one who has found his life will lose it, but the one who has lost his life for my sake will find it. The person who receives you receives me, and the one who receives me receives him who sent me. The person who receives a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. The one who receives a righteous individual in the name of a righteous person shall receive a righteous one's reward. Moreover, if anyone gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones for a drink because he is a disciple, certainly I tell you, that one shall not lose his reward. That was Matthew chapter 10, verse 1 through 42. And I think we will stop there. Shabbat Shalom.